going? So, oh my gosh, big news. We have weaned Harrison. I never thought this was going to happen, and I feel happy about it. I didn't think I would feel happy about it either. That is such a surprise to me that I feel excited about weaning and that we are moving forward and we don't have that anymore. I thought that I would feel really sad about it, but I don't. And part of me feels a little bit guilty that I don't feel sad and that I don't necessarily miss breastfeeding. But many of you can probably relate that when you are breastfeeding a toddler, it starts to kind of take a toll. They get really wiggly. It becomes like kind of a jungle gym on mom. Once there's teeth involved and biting happens, it doesn't become fun anymore. My toddler, and I know that this happens to other toddlers too, he became like insatiable with milk. Like it was like every time he needed comfort, he needed milk. Every time he fell down, he needed to nurse. Every time he was tired, he needed to nurse. And that became very exhausting for me as a mom. And so I just kind of wanted to candidly sit down and talk to you about how weaning went for us, the method that I use to wean, and then I will have a follow-up video to this one with tips and tricks for starting the weaning process. But this is just going to be kind of about how I weaned Harrison, what worked for us, and sort of our story. So if this isn't the way that you weaned, or if this isn't something that would work for you, we're all gonna do it differently. This is just what worked for our family, what needed to happen for our family, and really where we are now. So that's kind of what this video is gonna be about. So as far as like Harrison did not initiate weaning. I know that there are some kids who lose interest, but like I said, he was at this insatiable place. Harrison needed his milk and he needed it all the dang time. I spent so much of my time in our recliner that I just wasn't getting anything done. The house was a wreck. Well, I mean, it's kind of a wreck now, but that's for other reasons. I mean, hashtag mom life. I wasn't really getting to spend any time with my family. I wasn't really sleeping in bed with my husband. I was spending most of my night up in the recliner nursing Harrison because that's what he demanded essentially. So it got to this point where I just felt a little bit like I was breaking, and I think Brian noticed that because he actually suggested, and for those of you who don't know, Brian is my husband, he actually suggested that we start weaning. And so we just felt like it was time. And so I took the lead with weaning him. And I tried the Band-Aid method. I had watched a couple of videos about it and seen that it had worked for moms. And essentially what you do is you put Band-Aids over your nipples and you tell your toddler that their milk has gone away. Harrison called it his night-nights. That's what he always called nursing, or, you know, his milk or where it came from. So we told him that the nanites were all gone. He had no way to latch. So the Band-Aids took away his ability to even try to latch, to get frustrated in that way. And I'm gonna tell you that weaning in the first day, even the second day, was hard. He cried. He cried quite a bit. He tried to get into my shirt, but without the ability for him to be able to latch with the Band-Aids in his way, it made it a lot easier to keep explaining that the nanites had gone away. Also really hard because Harrison was a kid who nursed to sleep. And so that was like my biggest fear for weaning. I had always said that I wanted to get him to about 2 years, and we actually weaned him about a month before his second birthday. But in my mind, I was like, he's never gonna go to sleep. Like, this child who already wakes up in the middle of the night is gonna be a monster to get to bed. But it really wasn't that way. He cried, I would say, for about, I don't know, off and on, probably for about 45 minutes. And I know that that sounds like a long time, but he wasn't sitting by himself crying. He was being held, he was being loved. And what we did was we tried to replace nursing with snuggles and then like a lovey. And so he has a whole bunch of those muslin like Aiden and Anai blankets. And so I put them up over my shoulder and I told him, I was like, this is how we're gonna go to sleep now. And that worked like a charm. So when he saw the blanket, he associated that with sleep, and it got easier with each day. So by day 3, he was pretty much totally weaned, I would say. And a lot of moms didn't believe me that I had weaned him, but honestly, like, we were completely done nursing after 24 hours. I have to say that I cracked in those first like few hours because in the middle of the night, he woke up on the very first day. And this is gonna be a little bit all over the place, but I don't have anything written down, so you're just kind of getting the off the cuff story. This is kind of like a little one take, but not really. So in the middle of the night on the first night, he woke up and he was looking for his nanites, and he was so sad. And we have another child who is school age. Her name is Delilah. And so I also had that to consider. I had, you know, her sleep needs to consider. So, and it was a school night. I don't know why we chose to wean him on a school night. I think we started on a Thursday, if I remember correctly. So then we would have the rest of the weekend to continue. But that Thursday night, I was like, she has to get some sleep. I don't want him, you know, waking Brian up. I don't want to be screamed at all night long either. So I nursed him in the middle of the night, but that was it. In the morning, the Band-Aids went back on, nanites were all gone. It wasn't confusing to him for whatever reason. Maybe he was just like not really awake when he was nursing is kind of what I was thinking, because he totally still understood. It's not like he regressed at all since he had nursed that night. So the second night, I didn't nurse him. And again, he probably cried for like 45 minutes. I got up and stood with him. I held him. But then when I put that blanket there, again, he associated that with sleep. He fought the blanket, was kind of like the 45-minute crying. And I didn't want to necessarily like try to distract him with like a video on my phone or toys or anything, because it was the middle of the night. Like, this was time for sleep. So, and really when I say that he cried for 45 minutes, each time it was more like fussing. He wasn't like throwing himself to the ground crying. He wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like he was throwing a tantrum or like he was really working himself up and stressing himself out. He was really just, it was kind of like a sad cry. Like, he was just kind of sad that it was gone. By day 3, he was totally fine. He accepted that we were all done nursing, and I think because he was close to 2, he's a really rational toddler. Like, you can really kind of talk him down from most things unless he's like super tired. So when I told him that nursing was all done, nanites were all done, he understood that, and it just took him a little bit of time to process. But I think that because he was older and able to rationalize, honestly, I think that he was done nursing and he was just looking for another way to soothe himself, and he just didn't know how to do that. And so when I started the weaning process, it made it so much easier for him to sleep. After those first 24 hours, he slept like a dream. He almost sleeps through the night, and he sleeps in his own bed, which is incredible. I'm gonna, you know, go into that a little bit more, but when we first started weaning, he didn't really want anything to do with his bed, and he hasn't really. He never really slept in a crib because we co-slept. He hasn't really slept in his toddler bed because he just is a really snuggly baby, and you know, it was so much easier for me to hold him and nurse him in the night. But since we weaned, he sleeps so much longer in his toddler bed, and he has a fun little race car toddler bed, super cool. But he sleeps so much longer in that bed, and it's clear to me that he needed the sleep in the nighttime because he sleeps longer stretches. He does still wake up. Our situation isn't perfect, and he really only wakes up for me. So moms, if you have tips about how to get your toddlers to sleep through the night when you go in there, let me know those down in the comments below. I could totally use those, because if Brian goes in there, he can totally pat him back to sleep. But I've tried the same thing, and maybe it's because Harrison knows that I'll pick him up, or that I'm like the easy parent or something. I don't even know, but he won't go back down for me. He kind of demands that I pick him up. So if you have tips and tricks for that, I'm not gonna let him cry it out. It's just not something we're gonna do. So if that is something that you're suggesting, I just wouldn't leave that, because it's not something that we're comfortable with. It's not right for our family. So he sleeps through the night for everybody else. Like, he goes on a couple of overnights, and he slept through the night over there, and he sleeps through the night when Brian has him, or when Brian goes in the middle of the night. He's in a much better place with sleep. He is a lot easier to soothe. He just cuddles when he needs soothing. He is so much less demanding, and I honestly think it's helping his speech and like his vocabulary, because before, when he was nursing, he wouldn't really ask for what he wanted. He would just kind of grunt, and maybe it's just he's getting older in development, but this is just kind of an observation. He would grunt and then he would get frustrated that we didn't understand. And so then he would want to nurse. So with that out of the picture, I think he is talking more. I think that he is becoming more independent. He was a kid that always wanted to be picked up, like always, and he's getting heavy now, and so I didn't really know how much longer that could go on. I have some chronic pain in my arm from a car accident, and I can't hold him for very long on that arm, and that's my left arm. It's like my go-to side to hold him. So you know, it has helped so many things. And again, part of me feels like this mom guilt that I'm happy about weaning and that I shouldn't feel happy and that I should be mourning it. I didn't even have like one of those big momentous like last nursing, like look down at your baby, love your last moments of nursing. I didn't have any of that. I nursed him, I think, down to a nap. And then the next time I was like, we're done. I'm just kind of over it. And I think, I don't know, this is how I think about it. I think that nursing is a relationship, and I think if one party is not enjoying that nursing relationship anymore, then it's time to end it, whether it's baby or whether it's mom. And I think that a lot of moms put a lot of pressure on themselves as far as nursing goes, and they feel guilty when it ends if it's by their own choice or by circumstances outside of their control. So for example, I have some friends who had to stop nursing their kids because of medical reasons. I've had friends who had to stop nursing their babies because their supply just like diminished early on. I've seen them feel a lot of mom guilt, and I think that as moms, we need to kind of ease up on ourselves. So I think that that is something that, you know, that's just my little like soapbox rant, but we are weaned, and that is our weaning story. I know it was a little bit all over the place, but if you have any weaning tips and tricks, or if you're interested in what the Band-Aid method looks like, I'll link the blog post that I referenced down below so you guys can check it out. But it was good, and we are officially weaned. We definitely weaned in 24 hours. So the title is not clickbait. We weaned in 24 hours. And right now we are kind of in the midst of potty training, and this was definitely Harrison led. So if you're interested in learning about like the methods that we're using for potty training, things that we're trying, how it's going for us, feel free to leave that in the comments below, and I'd be happy to make a video about potty training and how it's going. So yeah, that's where we're at, and I hope that everything is going well for you guys. If you are recently weaned, or if you're like on the cusp of weaning, I'm sending so much love out to you right now, and I'm here to talk if you need to talk through it, because there are a lot of feelings, whether like you have the happiness about like kind of your finding yourself back after that time, or like the guilt about it, or maybe you are really sad about it, and that's okay too. Just, you know, you can message me if you want to. I'm over on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, or you can message me here. There is that little community tab, so you can send me a private message, or you can leave a comment or an email. There's lots of ways to get in touch with me. And I know people are gonna ask, but this is my hair au naturel. I didn't straighten it or anything. This is just how my hair is. I got makeup on, but I didn't get my hair done today. That's just how it is. You guys are lucky that it's brushed at this point, honestly, with how today is gone. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video, and I do apologize, a couple videos before this were kind of poor quality, but I had some weird settings going on my camera. But yeah, that's where we're at, and we are weaned. So if you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you want more content like this about breastfeeding or weaning, because even though we are weaned, I do have a lot of like breastfeeding topic videos that I can still make for you, because I learned so much during our breastfeeding journey, and I've made a bunch of videos about that. And yeah, I would love to share those with you. If you have questions, feel free to leave them down below, and I'd be happy to make those for you. If you are not yet subscribed, please hit that red subscribe button. It's right down there. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much. Like, I just want to give you a big hug. I love having my community. I love seeing people return to my channel and continue to build this community. It's an amazing place, and I just love my BAM fam. And if you are subscribed, don't forget to hit the notification bell. My subscription box has been weird lately, and I think this is like kind of a YouTube thing. And so not all of my subscribers are getting my videos or are getting notified when I post them. So if you hit the bell, then you will definitely get a notification every time I post. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And by the way, you guys, have fun today.